So to the graduates of 2021, I have only 4 instructions for you. Speak your truth, live in your purpose, walk in grace, and inspire with your legacy. If you are able to aim for those 4 guideposts and live your life through them and with them in mind, you will be who you were meant to be. You will make those who love you extremely proud. You will live the life that you absolutely want to live, and you'll know that you've helped those that will come after you. So all I have to say to the class of 2021 is congratulations and good luck on your journey.
That was the great Maria Taylor delivering the commencement address at my alma mater, her alma mater, the University of Georgia, last week, as we welcome you back to the Steam Room, presented by Tissot, the official watch of the NBA. And, we tell all our guests, keep your towel on. You've been on the show before, so you know the rules. Maria Taylor is here with us.
Yes.
And Maria, that was tremendous. I saw a much longer clip. You just crushed it. You just crushed it. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, I appreciate it, Ernie. Wait, can I tell you the best part about it? Was one, I was in the arena when you gave yours.
Those all-nighters you pulled when you studied like crazy. And the words on those pages grew distant and hazy. And what made it worse, made it feel not right, was your friends were all hanging at bourbon that night. How did I know that would resonate? And one day you'll look back and no doubt you'll think, those great days in Athens went by like a blink. Because now you have arrived, understand what I'm stating, your college day's over, your future is waiting. You'll be in the workforce. Yes, sir, this is it. It's truly exciting and scary as, well, it can be really scary. Oh, the trials you'll face in the course of your travels. One word from a doctor and your world unravels. But here's what I found is a pretty good tack. With faith, love, and hope, your life ravels right back. Oh, the mark that you'll make as tonight you embark. Take a swing at this life, hit it out of the park. We'll read of your exploits in books and in blogs. You're the class of 17. Some damn good dogs. Thank you.
That's like the commitment that I remember, BlackBerry moments. And it was a whole thing. I was like, okay, I need to leave something with them. That's what Ernie did. My sister graduated the year you gave your commencement, and that's what I wanted it to be. And 2, you calling me after the speech and being like, hey, don't you have a big night tonight? And you'd already missed me giving the speech. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I got NBA Countdown. What do you mean? What's going on?
I was on the road last weekend and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's tonight. It's a Friday night, but you had done it on Thursday.
Yep.
You were wonderful. And there's nothing like standing in that stadium at Sanford Stadium and looking at those graduates and looking at those parents and it's just awesome. Chuckster, this was definitely a marking moment for those graduates to hear what Maria had to say.
Well, I listened to a clip earlier, a long version. She's talking about her grandmother.
Yep.
And number one, it was inspiring. But first of all, I'm gonna ask both of you guys this question. Were y'all nervous?
Actually, I was more nervous to give the commencement speech than I am doing most shows that we do, because 1, it's a live audience, but 2, like, it just means so much to you. Like, you recognize what an honor that really is. So I know I was nervous. I don't know about you, Ernie, but.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have some butterflies, but the excitement of being able to do that and the honor that it is to do that far outweighed any of that. So it was just like, I just couldn't wait to be there. I can't even describe the honor and the privilege that was. And I mean, I replay that night in my mind all the time. And it was, it was a career moment.
The story about your grandmother, number one, I almost teared up watching it.
I did. So did you, Maria.
Oh, I did. I teared up.
So go ahead and just tell us more
Sure.
about that.
Well, number one, my grandma, I'm in my New York apartment, and their grandma is 3, 4, 5 pictures behind me right now. And then my dad's mom is on the end. But I called her Big Mom. Her name is Lavonia Matthews, and she's from Athens, Georgia. Like my family, my mom's side of the family is from Athens. So with me that night, I had one of her cousins. Her name was Roz, and they always grew up Bulldog fans, loved everything about it. But obviously they grew up in the 40s and 50s. So they couldn't even, she would tell stories about how they would have to stay on the other side of the street. Like they couldn't touch the arch, or they couldn't walk under the arch unless you worked there or something. And so for her to be able to be there and go in and be in the president's box was like this huge 180 that she had never experienced. And I probably wrote 3 different versions of the speech, and I sent it to one of my producers, and he's like, I just feel like you should dig into your grandmother's story more. And then as we thought about it, and it was the 60th anniversary of the desegregation of Georgia, like there were too many things that lined up that needed to be mentioned. And she was the reason I went to Georgia, to be honest. She wanted someone to graduate from there. She was really sick at my graduation, but she came to every single event and was so excited, like ecstatic about it. And all she knew was that, like, if you graduate from Georgia, you'll have this crazy network, you'll probably be successful. I know I couldn't do it, but I want you to go and be able to do it. And never harbored ill will about it or anything. And so that's something that I always took away from her. And she's always been an inspiration to me from beginning to, and had her own company, was in the Army, anything you could think of, name it, she had been there and done that.
You know, that's what I was going to ask you when you're talking about in your speech. Like, she really wanted you guys to go to University of Georgia, to have that heart, that emotion. They're like, no, it is what it is back in the day, but I still want you guys to go to school. That was amazing when you were talking about it.
Because she felt like this is what we fought for. You know what I mean? Like, we couldn't go so that you could, or, you know, we crawled so you could walk, but, you know, basically we get to sprint and run. And so she didn't want us to take that for granted. And like, she always preached education. And I'm telling you, when it was like, I would be in school, she would know if Matthew Stafford was hurt before I did. You know, like that's how much she cared about Georgia, like calling me, like, is he okay? But where is Noshawn? And are we going to be Auburn? You know what I mean? Like, that's how much she cared about Georgia, even though she really shouldn't have. Like, she should have looked at this place, and she drove by it all the time, lived right past Broad Street. I mean, Ernie knows all of the destinations and saw the university all the time, but couldn't walk on the campus, and still loved it to its core.
So what did it mean for you on a regular basis when you were in Athens? Because I mean, that story, you knew that story. And so, I mean, when you jumped on a north-south bus, or you did whatever you were going to class, weren't you, that had to never be very far from your thoughts.
Well, it's so funny because, you know, when you're young and you're dumb. I feel like maybe the students now have a better understanding because they've been confronted with so many things, you know, over the last year or over the last couple of years. But I really didn't think about it until graduation. And part of that is just graduation, or her coming to a volleyball or a basketball game, because she was just so proud. Like, she just wanted the opportunity to be proud of her grandkids and tell all of her friends that she had a granddaughter that went to the University of Georgia. Like, it meant so much to her. But the first time I realized it, like, and I thought about it, there were times when I didn't like my coach sometimes, my volleyball coach at Georgia. I wanted to transfer, and I would think, I can't do it because my grandma wants me to graduate from here. Like, literally, she kept me there. And so to me, going to Georgia changed the course of my entire life. Like, I'm not here talking to you guys. I'm not working in broadcasting. None of these things really happen without going through that.
When did you decide that you wanted to go into broadcasting? Was it like, was that your ultimate, like you said, at some point I'm going to do broadcasting, or did it kind of just flow to you?
No, it found me. I thought I was going to be a doctor, but, you know, I'm not that smart, so I couldn't do biology and chemistry and all that stuff. It was not meant for me. I changed it to business. I took accounting. I didn't like that either. But my best friend and my teammate was majoring in broadcasting. I was like, ooh, that's a major? I just gotta talk out loud. I was really good at public speaking, so I was like, I need to do this one. And I really, once I got into it and you like apply to Grady, the first class I took was a news writing class. And I was like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And we probably had like 3 games a year on TV. So when you realize like someone's coming to this game and that's their job to sit here and call a volleyball match, like that's what I want to do.
What was your first job?
First job, I worked at Georgia. Like I said, it all starts there. My athletic director at the time was Damon Evans, and he was like, okay, I know you want to do broadcasting. You can be a production assistant with IMG College, or at the time they were International Sports Properties. And they did all the video, the radio broadcast for women's basketball, all the internet broadcasts for volleyball. And we did like a Georgia Sports Daily every day, which is just like me standing in front of a tree telling you what happened at Georgia.
The
And that was
everywhere
my
tree.
whole,
Yeah.
the everywhere tree. We're here. My first on-camera thing was Comcast Sports South. I did a volleyball match for them, an Alabama volleyball match. And that was like the beginning. They gave me high school football. They gave me SEC football. We did the dog report on CSS, and it became ESPN after that.
You remember the day, you remember the moment ESPN called you?
Absolutely. I was at one of my best friend's house. She had just had a baby, and we're like hanging out, and it's really close to football season starting. So say it's July, maybe the beginning of August. And I always say I have to thank Ernie Andrews, because it was the year that she left for Fox, and she kind of left a little late. And I was like, oh, they must have had a hole in their roster, so they need to call somebody. And they had just taken Allison Williams from the CSS football game, and I had taken over her game. And so they were like, we'll just go back to the well and pull Maria in. And I remember it was middle of the day, and I thought it was a joke. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Like, you're just going to give me a football game. You know what I mean? Like a package. They were giving me a whole package with Bob Shoes and a Danny Cannell. They're like, no, like, we're serious. We'll get you the email. The contract's coming. We want you to start this season.
Obviously you're very talented, because now you're a full-blown star. Like, really, you're the lead person on ESPN's coverage of the NBA. That's got to be daunting in the beginning.
Yes. The most nervous I've been about anything was probably working the Rose Bowl for the first time for football, and then our first NBA countdown show. And a lot of that is because I know how smart the fans are. I know how invested the NBA viewers are. So if you mess up or fall on your face, they're all over you. I know how much the players watch and listen to what we do and say. And so the most important thing for me and everything is just to be respected and knowledgeable. And so coming into it for the first time, I just felt behind, I was constantly catching up. And I finally feel like I'm at a point in year 2 of the second longest season ever. I feel like we never really stopped, but I finally feel comfortable going into this year's playoffs, but it takes a while to feel that level of comfort.
What's the biggest difference between football? I mean, obviously they're different. Mm-hmm. What's the biggest difference in preparing for football compared to basketball?
The biggest thing is when we're in football, it's 2 teams. One, it's 2 teams. And the second thing is I've been doing that for 10 years. You know what I mean? So that is literally comes natural. Basketball, you need to watch not all the games, but you need to have NBA TV on. You need to be tuned in. You need to have your app open and be like, what are the Wizards doing? They're not on TV, but I need to see what they're doing because we're talking about Russ, And so I think it's a little more, to me, it's a little more invasive. But again, it's because it's my second season. And it's just faster. There's a lot of storylines. There are a lot of teams to keep up with, different players. It's the most interesting. People care about these players. You know what I mean? There's no bigger celebrity and that is an athlete, I think, other than maybe soccer overseas, than an NBA player is in America. And so that's something that we love to play on, and just the star power of the league. That's what's completely different about football.
What does Maria Taylor do in her spare time?
I've really just my dad has a bunch of land in Macon, Georgia. We'll go down to the land and mow the grass. I'm kind of country. My whole goal in life is to they have, 75 acres. I want it to turn into a farm so bad. I want the land to be cleared out. I mean, I don't know that I can be a farmer, but I could manage it. You know what I mean? Just go back and forth and be able to have that going. I told my dad, I'm like, you know what? He needs to grow some cannabis down there. And he needs to grow, I want a pumpkin patch and a watermelon patch.
Wait, you went from pumpkin and watermelon to cannabis?
Well, because that's going to make the money. And then the kids come for the pumpkins, and then they come in the summer for the watermelon.
Hey, the kids come for the pumpkin. Their parents can go get the cannabis.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
You can make money and it's an organic farm,
I like it.
My wife Cheryl Ann we have a greenhouse here, and she's growing all kind of stuff in there. Chuck, what do you think? Should I get Cheryl Ann to expand her horizons on the greenhouse here?
Listen, hey man, I'm not, for some reason, I'm not on the cannabis bandwagon.
Well, don't act like I am. Come on.
Right. I'm not either. I'm just trying to make my dad money.
No. So I got friends who smoke religiously. Mm-hmm. And I've said this, I've smoked pot 5 times in my life. 5 times. it does zero for me. It don't make me feel no type of way. I tell people, all it make me want to do is eat some potato chips. I cannot get enough potato chips in my mouth after I smoke pot. Everybody say it did. Hey, Maria, I'm telling you the truth. It did nothing for me. And I was like, yo, man, I just got the munchies. They're like, oh man, you get used to it. It's gonna do this and do that. I'm like, yo, man, I just need some potato chips. It didn't do shit for me.
It didn't do nothing. I'm just hungry now. It's
I'm just
ruining the
hungry now.
diet. I'm trying to be healthy, and now it's ruining everything.
God.
Hey, Maria, who's going to win the NBA title?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, give me a good answer.
Okay, so if I had to do a power ranking, I would start with the Nets, then the 76ers, then the Bucks.
Ooh, where's
I think that's how it
Utah?
would go.
Wow.
Then Utah.
This Utah Jazz slander, I've had enough of it. They've had the best record in the NBA all year. But
I got them
this.
going to the finals. Chuck, I said that on the air the other night.
Yeah,
They're
you
the
did.
most. I think they're the most complete team.
But I will tell you this. I'm going with Milwaukee in the East.
Okay.
I think the addition of PJ Tucker and Drew Holiday is going to be huge.
No, I think last 2 years it's been, Bucks this, Bucks that, best record. They're going to, and now I think that they've kind of like said, okay, everybody talk about the Nets, everybody talk about the Sixers, and we're still here.
But I think the addition of Drew Holiday really has changed that team. No disrespect to Eric Bledsoe, but Drew Holiday is probably, he's up there as one of the most underrated players in the NBA.
I agree.
Offensively and defensively, he's great, but nobody ever talks about him. I think, and listen, and the Milwaukee, to me, their team now with the addition, they're built for the playoffs. And hey, listen, let's be honest, they're on the hot seat. I mean, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, the Clippers, those three teams, they're all on the hot seat. I mean, they didn't go out and get Paul George and Kawhi and get Batum and Serge Ibaka to say they never still in year 100 in the NBA. They never even made it to the conference finals. I mean, that's crazy. Every time I see that stat, I'm like, the Clippers have never even made it to the conference finals. Right. That is crazy.
You're right about the Bucks, though, because you can't let the East pass you by. And if you had 2 seasons where you won the regular season, you have Giannis, you re-signed Giannis, like it's kind of like now's the time as we're watching the Nets get good. Who knows who's going to want to go ahead and play at Madison Square Garden in a year? We don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? In the off season, but like you can't let a season like this pass you by.
We've kept you for a long time, but let me ask you something real quick, because
I like the steam room.
And we appreciate you being a loyal steamer. Look, College Game Day is one of the all-time best shows. Just love watching that. And I know it'll be great when things get back to where you can run that show the way, you're supposed to run them with fans and everything like that. But just tell the folks on listening what it's like to be part of that atmosphere when it's really cooking on a College Game Day. And because that show is awesome, and it captures the excitement of college football like nothing else.
Yeah, I always say it's like the only job you can have here where you're going to have thousands of fans just cheering you on to do your job just because you showed up for work that day. There's no atmosphere like it. We kind of got it in the draft. The closest thing we've had to it since COVID started, a lot of fans came out to Cleveland and were there. But, we feed into it. We think of the fan as like the other co-host of the show. So we're showing them, the signs are another one of the co-hosts. Like it's a part, it's embedded in what we are and what we do. And you're right, Ernie. Like I do think it's one of the best shows on television. Part of it is because everyone loves working together. Everyone absolutely loves the sport and puts the sport first, and wants to tell the stories. And we try to put the players and the fans first. And then after that, it's like, okay, let's get technical. And what are the graphics going to be? But we have fun. The meetings are fun. When we show up, we couldn't even ride together in cars. You should have seen us trying to like drive behind each other in separate rental cars. Like no one can park. I learned none of us could drive. And I can't wait till we can actually carpool together and like hang out and go get dinners and be together again. Cause that show's special.
It's interesting being an Auburn graduate and a Georgia graduate because we are probably the most, I don't even know how to even phrase it. Like, the most tortured fan bases in the world right now. I mean that sincerely. You got the greatest coach in college football history over in Tuscaloosa. and you got Auburn and you got Georgia, who have to play them every year. And we both been so close yet so far.
Right.
Me and Ernie went to the last game where they Tua threw the touchdown on the last play of the game.
Oh, stop,
No.
man.
I was
dude.
working that game.
Jeez. And I remember my son Eric and I at halftime we tracked down Chuckster because we were sitting in different places, and we took a picture, and I look at that thing and I'm smiling like crazy. Hey, Georgia's
This is gonna be so great.
And then I just remember walking out of that joint and like, oh my goodness, I can't. And then I
That
saw
was
that
the
movie,
most deflating.
saw that movie again the next year. Jeez.
Yep. But that's Atlanta though. That's Falcons. You know, like we can get so close and it's always ripped away the last second.
Let's don't bring up that.
Okay.
I lost a lot of money when you blow a 28. hey, just like Ernie was smiling in that picture, I was celebrating. Hey, we gonna win the Super Bowl. Chuck gonna win some money. We have 28-3. We have 28-3. And then all hell broke loose. Tom Brady, the GOAT.
Tom Brady broke loose.
Hey, Tom Brady broke loose. The GOAT did his thing.
So, Maria, have a great run during the playoffs.
We'll be watching.
We will.
I'll
We'll
be watching
like
y'all.
crazy. Yeah. And
I'm always watching.
Hopefully our paths cross here one of these days. And again, just tremendous job on the commencement address between the hedges. And as we bid you goodbye, we leave the folks here listening to the steam room a longer clip, an excerpt of, and this talks much about your grandmother, Lavonia Matthews. So we're going to take a break, but as we head to break, take this in, folks. It is rich.
It's amazing.
Now, the last guidepost that I absolutely love is called Legacy. But in order to tell this story, I have to tell the story of one woman. Her name was Lavonia Matthews, and she grew up in the Newtown area of Athens, which is about 15 minutes literally from this stadium. She was born to a 13-year-old mother. Her mother could have literally been her sister. For a young Black girl growing up in the South, these were not unusual circumstances, and usually it would kind of define the track that your life would go on. But Lavonia was different. She knew for a fact that education was going to be the key to her success. So she graduated salutatorian a year early from high school, and she dreamed about attending her hometown university. It was this university. But as a student of color in the 1950s, she was barred from attending. Ultimately, though, Lavonia was absolutely undeterred. She enrolled in the Army. And after 4 years of active duty, touring the world, she was honorably discharged. She decided to go back to school, and that's exactly what she did. She got her associate's degree in accounting, then went on to start her own trucking company, and she was responsible for helping to build the infrastructure for Metro Atlanta throughout the 80s and the 90s with her own company. Now, Lavonia had every single right under the sun to resent this university, to resent a school that did not believe she was admissible because of the color of her skin. But instead, she viewed this university as a beacon of hope. And she impressed upon her 3 daughters and absolutely all of her grandkids that Athens, Georgia, could be a life-changing environment for them. Because she knew something. She knew that this soil, the soil that we're all sitting on right now, was special, and it would help them grow. So then she was able to do something that not everyone gets to. She was able to proudly sit in this very stadium that we're all in right now and watch her eldest granddaughter graduate in 2009. She was the family's first University of Georgia graduate. And then she, unfortunately, passed away just 15 months later. But from heaven, she was also able to watch her youngest granddaughter become the second University of Georgia graduate. And today, On the 60th anniversary of Charlene Hunter Galt and Hamilton Holmes' admission and desegregation of the University of Georgia, she's looking down at her granddaughter delivering the commencement speech to the class of 2021. Thank you. You see, my grandmother, Lavonia Matthews, planted a seed in me, deep in me, a seed of belief that graduating from the University of Georgia could change my life forever. In the same way that it changed her entire life just growing up around the corner from it. And in every single way, she was absolutely right. This university has changed my life. I will never be the same. I am Livonia's legacy. And I ask of the graduates, what will be your legacy?